Then you get to today. So, I don't know, they woke up one day and Jesus said, "You three, we're going on a hike." And they're like, "Cool, done that before." So they go on a hike. They hike up a mountain. Cool, done that before too. Then stuff gets a little weird. Like all of a sudden, the face of their 30-year-old buddy is like looking directly into the sun. Well, that's never happened before. Then his clothes start glowing. Also a new phenomenon. Then two dead guys from the Bible show up and they start talking to him. Like, heard about them, never seen them before. What is happening right now? And then this cloud thing. A bright cloud shows up. Okay, I've seen a cloud before, but it's glowing. Interesting. But the bright cloud cast a shadow over them. How does that work? Dunno. Then the cloud starts talking to them. Okay, really strange stuff. Then it gets even stranger because it knocks them to the ground. And they feel, we hear Matthew tell us, very much afraid. What is this and what is going on? But Jesus comes up to them and touches them and says, "Get up, don't be afraid." Then he tells them at the end, right, don't talk about this until I raise myself from the dead. Okay, what is going on? If I could sort of sum it up briefly, Jesus wants to give his friends a glimpse of his glory. Because until now, I mean, they know he's a miracle worker, they know he's special, they know he draws a crowd, they know he's a special guy, but perhaps now they can see he's more than just a guy. He's more than just a special man. He's more than just a guy with special gifts. He's fully man, and a special one at that, but he's also fully God. And people don't do this kind of stuff. Like, only a God can do this. And he needs Peter, James, and John to see that he's more than just a guy. Here's a little peek behind the veil. And the fathers of the church have told us for 2,000 years that Jesus did this to remove the scandal of the cross, so that when that happens, Peter, James, and John can think back and go, hang on a minute. We saw him like a god. Right? So maybe this isn't the end of the story. Maybe there's more to come. Maybe there's more to come. Right? So Jesus wants to give them tremendous hope when things get difficult. Perhaps, though, the element of this story that resonates in my heart the most is Peter's famous reaction. So all this crazy stuff is going on, and it's pretty amazing. Before they feel afraid, they're like, this is cool, you're glowing, there's Moses, there's Elijah, and Peter says, I have an idea. We are pitching some tents. We're going to stay right here on top of this mountain because this is awesome, and I want it to never change ever. This is amazing. Let's stay right here. This thing, we're just going to stay here, right? And Jesus says, no, we're not staying here. I'm giving you this now. Like, we can be on the mountaintop today, but I got some stuff I got to do, and you're coming with me. Change is a-coming. Right? So no, we can't just stay here. We got to keep going. We've got more to do. Jesus hasn't done the most important thing yet. He hasn't accomplished his Father's mission for him. He hasn't accomplished the paschal mystery of his passion, his death, his resurrection, his ascension. Peter, James, and John, Jesus tried to tell them that this was going to happen, and they still don't get it. This needs to happen. Things are going to change. I was sitting in my chair earlier looking up at this. I've always loved this window of the apostles of the Blessed Mother at Pentecost. Peter, James, and John are in that window. Right? They couldn't have imagined that would happen someday. But before that was going to happen, that had to happen. Right? And then before that had to happen, the transfiguration had to happen to remove the scandal of all this from their hearts. And Peter wants to stay, and Jesus says, it's not about this. I've got some more I've got to do. Right? If we're going to be followers of Jesus, we better get used to change. We better get comfy with change. We can't just pitch a tent in our comfortable place. We can't just pitch a tent on the mountaintop all the time. We can have mountaintop moments, but not forever. Jesus says, I got some more I got to do with you. And God's been doing this for a long time. Our first reading was from Abraham, a couple thousand years before Jesus. And did you hear what God asked of that poor guy? Abraham, you're a senior citizen now. I have an idea. Pack up everything and move somewhere else. And I'll tell you later where it is. Right? So he had no idea where God was asking him to go. But Abraham went. He obeyed God and said, okay, I could pitch a tent here. I could stay in my comfortable place. But God's calling me to something new. God's calling me to change. As a parish priest, of course, that happens a lot in my life. I spent 5 lovely years with you here, but gosh, we went through a lot of change together in our time. We went from that church to this church. We went from one pastor to another pastor. We went through the pandemic together. There was a lot of change that happened throughout that. But look, we're okay. We didn't get to pitch a tent on the mountaintop this whole time, but we're doing all right. We're here. We're here together. It's beautiful. God is taking care of us. After here, I had a big change in my life, and the Archbishop asked me to go to Columbus, Nebraska. I was associate pastor there of 3 parishes and 2 grade schools and a high school, and that only lasted for 2 years. And I got another phone call, and the Archbishop said, I got something bigger I need you to take care of. So now I'm pastor of 8 towns and 5 parishes in 4 schools, a little further north there. I live in Humphrey. So yeah, change happens, but it's amazing to watch what God does when we get comfy with change. And we don't just pitch our tent in the comfiest place ever. You know, where I live now, the members of my communities have gone through really significant change as Catholics. So I don't know how aware you all are of the rural part of our archdiocese, but things have changed tremendously out there. I have all these different parishes, and back in the good old days, 120 years ago when they were built, my goodness, these little towns, they each had their own little church, their own little priest, their own little school, their own little convent full of their own little nuns, and they were totally comfy and self-sufficient and didn't have to do anything with any other town. They had their own little world, and it was beautiful. And those days are over. They're long gone. Now all 8 of those towns have to share this guy, and all 5 of those churches and all those schools, right? So it's changed dramatically. In fact, where I'm at now, we're surrounded by a bunch of closed churches. And I didn't close them. They closed in the 80s. That was 45 years ago. Right? There was one in Cornley, Nebraska. There was one in St. Ben, Nebraska. There was one in St. John, Nebraska. There's one south of Humphrey on Highway 81. And they're closed. They used to be their own little community. And in the 80s, things changed. So yes, things are changing, but God forbid that we just lament. You know, if we want, when change comes our way, we can just pout in the corner. We can just lament that change has come our way. But I think Jesus wants to tell us we can do more than lament. What if Peter, James, and John just stayed laying on the ground up on the mountain and they're like, this is too much. We're just going to lament that all this is changing. Thank God Jesus came and touched them and said, you guys, get up. Don't be afraid. Let's keep going. There's so much more I have for you. Yes, things will change. Things will change dramatically. Think of what we're about to celebrate at the end of this Lenten journey together. The Paschal Mystery, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday. Things are about to change. But even after he rises from the dead, things are going to change even more. And especially when the Holy Spirit comes, buckle up. Peter's going to Rome to get martyred. James is going to be the first martyr. And John is going to get sent to a deserted island where he's going to have crazy visions of the book of Revelation and die alone, an old man, for Jesus and be saints. So things are going to change. But Jesus let them know they didn't have to be afraid of change anymore. I sure know that since I left here 2.5 years ago, my life has changed pretty dramatically. But I look out at all of you, many of you that I know and remember well, some of you that I don't know, and I just wonder, what kind of change has come into your life lately? I bet some of you here in church this morning have undergone some pretty significant changes lately. Or if that's not true for you, I'm sure some of you in the church know that there's some change about to happen in your life, maybe in your family, maybe in your marriage, maybe in your job. I just wonder what kind of change is happening in your life. Whatever that is, Jesus wants to touch the part of our hearts that feels afraid of that change. I pray that in this Mass, we would let Jesus come to us, however, glowing, not glowing, coming to us in the Eucharist today, to touch the part of our hearts that feels afraid of the change that has happened or the change that's about to happen for us. And I pray that all of us in the midst of this Mass and these coming days of the sacred season of Lent could hear Jesus speak confidently into our fear. Get up. Let's go. Do not be afraid of change.